Hey there, Black Sheep. Welcome back to the channel. And this week's episode of This Bites, a series in which we analyze Watchtower propaganda or literature and highlight how it implements the bite model. If you're unfamiliar with the bite model, it's the go-to method used to identify extreme control groups and cults, and the methods they use to coerce, recruit, and maintain control of their members. This week at a Kingdom Hall near you, Jehovah's Witnesses will be discussing study article number 26 of the June 2024 Watchtower Study Edition. The article is entitled, Make Jehovah Your Rock. The entire article, all 18 paragraphs, are spent explaining a single metaphor. Jehovah is a rock, and listing all the ways someone can be rock-like. There's very little bite model, just a ton of repetition. So let's talk briefly about the effects of repetition on the brain. Linked in the description will be the full psychological study. This study was performed by the Department of Psychology of San Francisco State University in tandem with Georgia State University. It was published in 2021, and it's titled The Effects of Repetition Frequency on the Illusory Truth Effect. Essentially, the study proves that repetition can affect beliefs about truth. People tend to perceive claims to be truer if they have been exposed to them before. This is known as the illusory truth effect, and it helps explain why advertisements and propaganda work. The study further explains in detail what illusory truth effect means. It says it's a metacognitive process of fluency, which is just an academic way of saying you're familiar with something. You've heard it before, so you're more inclined to trust it as true. So this entire article is using repetition as a way to encourage groupthink. Behavior control. Discourage individualism, encourage groupthink. Paragraph 1 says, How thankful we are that we can turn to Jehovah God for help. This is what you think. This is what you feel. We are thankful. Subheading 1. Why Jehovah is a rock. The Bible uses the term rock as a word picture to help us grasp qualities that Jehovah possesses. A word picture? You mean a metaphor, like they already said in paragraph 2? Paragraphs 4 and 5. He keeps us safe and prevents us from suffering lasting harm. We make Jehovah our rock-like refuge by praying to him. Thought control. Teaching thought-stopping techniques which shut down reality testing by stopping negative thoughts and allowing only positive thoughts, including denial, rationalization, justification, wishful thinking, meditating, praying. In paragraph 4, saying that he protects you from lasting harm is just so woefully irresponsible and dismissive. I mean, maybe this applies to the governing body who live their protected, free of strife lives up in Bethel, but it's not true for those Jehovah's Witnesses in the audience who are pressured into staying in abusive, unhappy marriages. Lasting harm has been done or is being done. Also, lasting harm has been done or is being done to children in the audience, enduring corporal punishment in CSA. Saying that he'll protect you from lasting harm is just so out of touch. I knew an elder who was attacked by a group of men in a parking lot, beaten and robbed. Jehovah didn't protect him from that, and you can't tell me or him that that didn't cause lasting harm. Thought control. Instill new map of reality. Thought control. Encourage only good and proper thoughts. Emotional control. Manipulate and narrow the range of feelings. Some emotions and or needs are deemed as evil, wrong, or selfish. Paragraph 6 says, we can also depend on Jehovah because he is loyal to those who serve him. He will never forget what we do, and he will always reward us. Behavior control. Rewards and punishments used to modify behaviors, both positive and negative. Paragraph 7. We make Jehovah our rock when we rely fully on him. Behavior control. Instilled dependency and obedience. Paragraph 8 claims that Jehovah is stable, and that Jehovah will never deviate from his qualities, his purpose, and his standards. No real bite model here. I just think that this is only comforting if you make it clear that we're talking about New Testament Jehovah God and not Old Testament Jehovah God. Because Old Testament God, stable isn't exactly the word that I would use. Paragraph 10. In the days ahead, we will encounter trials that will require us to lean on Jehovah as never before. This is just to remind Jehovah's Witnesses of their impending doomsday, that they are expecting a great tribulation that's worse than anything that occurred in the entire history of mankind. Emotional control. Instill fear, such as fear of thinking independently, the outside world, enemies, losing one's salvation, leaving or being shunned by the group, others' disapproval. It then says to lean on Jehovah, and that in order to do this, you should read Bible accounts and experiences of modern-day witnesses, and think deeply about those accounts. Information control. Extensive use of cult-generated information and propaganda, including newsletters, magazines, journals, audio tapes, videotapes, YouTube, movies, and other media. Behavior control. Major time spent with group indoctrination and rituals, and or self-indoctrination, including the internet. Subheading 2. Imitate Jehovah's rock-like qualities. Paragraph 11 says, we can imitate his rock-like qualities. The better we do so, the better equipped we will be to build up the congregation. It's not about you. It's never about you. It's about what you can do for the group, the collective. It's always more important than the individual. Behavior control. Discourage individualism, encourage groupthink. The congregation benefits when all brothers and sisters imitate Jehovah's rock-like qualities. The congregation benefits. Paragraph 12 again shows how Watchtower rules their people with fear about the last days. It says, as conditions in the last days get worse, we will no doubt have more opportunities to render aid to one another. Things are only going to get worse. Jehovah's Witnesses are not meant to believe anything other than things are going to get worse. Their hope is only in their coming paradise. Other than that, everyone and everything is hopeless. Because unfortunately, Jehovah's Witnesses are a doomsday cult. By definition, a doomsday cult is a religious group that expects an apocalyptic event to soon take place. Emotional control. Phobia indoctrination. Inculcating irrational fears about leaving the group or questioning the leader's authority. No happiness or fulfillment possible outside the group. Terrible consequences if you leave. Shunning of those who leave. And paragraph 12 also encourages Jehovah's Witnesses to partake in love bombing. Most Jehovah's Witnesses are doing this as genuinely as their exhausted spirit allows, but as we see, they are unwittingly engaging in love bombing. They're encouraged in paragraph 12 to provide an emotional and spiritual haven for our brothers. Contribute to the warm atmosphere. When our brothers and sisters attend meetings, we want to do all we can to make them feel loved, refreshed, and secure. There's absolutely nothing wrong with loving and encouraging one another, but this organization takes that and twists it and manipulates the individual and uses this as a control tactic. Love bombing is an emotional manipulation tactic. It is when someone bombards a person with affection, intense emotions, and an excess of their time and energy. This can include gift giving, making elaborate declarations of admiration, and spending all of one's time and energy on pleasing the victim. A manipulator uses love bombing to quickly build intimacy and trust. And that's what Watchtower wants. They want you to trust that they have all the answers and that this is the safe haven and that there is nowhere else to go, that there is no happiness outside of their organization, away from their people, free of their control. Paragraph 15 speaks to the insular nature of Jehovah's Witnesses. It says, brothers and sisters, have confidence in an elder who keeps private matters confidential and who follows through by doing what he says he will do. Elders are essentially the middle managers of your spirituality and your relationship with God. They are perceived as gifts and men by the local congregations. Encourage spying on other members. Impose a buddy system to monitor and control members. Report deviant thoughts, feelings, and actions to leadership. Ensure that individual behavior is monitored by the group. Compartmentalize information into outsider versus insider doctrines. Ensure that information is not freely accessible. Control information at different levels and missions within the group. Allow only leadership to decide who needs to know what and when. And this in particular is important because this confidential thing that is being talked about in the paragraph that this elder is keeping confidential could be abuse, could be a predator in the congregation. Maybe it is a registered schmex offender who has joined the congregation. And the paragraph says, brothers and sisters have confidence in an elder who keeps private matters confidential. I know this seems like an extreme case, but unfortunately, it's a common case. Paragraph 16, we are firm in what is right. We make decisions that are solidly based in Bible principles. Thought control. Require members to internalize the group's doctrine as truth, adopting the group's map of reality as reality. Instill black and white thinking. Decide between good versus evil. Organize people into us versus them. Insiders versus outsiders. Paragraph 16 then uses the terms accurate knowledge and the truth. Thought control. Use of loaded language and cliches which constrict knowledge, stop critical thoughts, and reduce complexities into platitudinous buzzwords. These are thought-stopping cliches because establishing their doctrine as truth and accurate, they're implying that everything else is false. Or actually, forget implying. They just flat out say it. We are not indecisive, unsteady, or easily swayed by false teachings and worldly thinking. Thought control. Labeling alternative belief systems as illegitimate, evil, or not useful. Emotional control. Phobia indoctrination. Inculcating irrational fears about leaving the group or questioning the leader's authority. Never a legitimate reason to leave. Those who leave are weak, undisciplined, unspiritual, worldly, brainwashed by family or counselor, or seduced by money, sex, or rock and roll. Or, as the paragraph says, indecisive, unsteady, and easily swayed. Paragraph 17 says, elders help publishers to be regular in their meeting attendance, field service, and personal study. This is, again, behavior control, major time spent with group indoctrination and rituals and or self-indoctrination, including the internet. And paragraph 18 also encourages this major time spent with self-indoctrination. The question for paragraph 18 directs the audience to the box on page 30, which is a Watchtower guide to a personal study project. It also says to use the Watchtower research tools available in your language. Information control. Extensive use of cult-generated information and propaganda, including newsletters, magazines, journals, audio tapes, videotapes, YouTube, movies, and other media. That brings us to the end of the article, so let's tally up the score. We have 6 for behavior control, 4 for information control, 5 for thought control, and 5 for emotional control. That brings us a total score of 6,455, a number probably equal to the amount of times this article says the word rock. I didn't actually count, but it's certainly what it feels like. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Please give the video a like. It helps the information get out to more people. And leave me a comment. I enjoy hearing from you, and I always do my best to reply. Continue thinking freely, Black Sheep.